Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of The More You Nole, podcast about Florida State University. I'm your host, Mike, Director of Social Media for Florida State's Office of Admissions. Thanks for downloading this week's episode. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, you can now find us on Stitcher, in addition to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you can download podcasts. You can also find prior episodes of the show on our YouTube channel, as well as our website, admissions.fsu.edu/podcast. This week, we have a panel of guests from Florida State University's Department of Sport Management. Dr. Jason Pappas is a faculty member who teaches multiple undergraduate courses and who also coordinates the department's practicum programs. Tevis, Jordon, and Courtney Caswell are two current graduate students who also earned their bachelor's degrees in sports management at FSU. We discuss the structure of the sport management program, the internship opportunities available through it, and the experiences Tevis and Courtney had through their studies, as well as in the Sport Management Student Association. Also, just a brief note, you may notice an abrupt cut around the 6-minute mark of this episode. Unfortunately, a brief connection error scrambled the very end of Dr. Pappas's answer, and I had to cut it out. And now, on to the interview. All right, I'm here with a panel from the FSU Sport Management Department. We've got faculty member and two students. Since I've got a bunch of you today, I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves, and I guess we'll start with Courtney, since you're first up on my Zoom screen.
Well, thank you, Mike. My name is Courtney Caswell. I am a second-year master's student in the sport management program. I'm lucky enough to also be a graduate assistant within the program. So through that, I assist with all of the department's social media and also work for the Florida State baseball team.
My name is Tevis Jordon. I'm in my first year in the master's program in sport management. I also did my undergrad here and graduated in May. And then I was on the executive board for the Sport Management Student Association last year. And for this school year, I'm going to be the president. So I've gotten a lot of good experience within the program, and it's been really great to get to see it from this side.
Yes, I'm Jason Pappas. I'm a faculty member here in the Department of Sport Management. This is starting my 9th year. It's been a pleasure to be back on my alma mater. I was a student manager here back in the early 90s under Mark Rick during the heyday, and been fortunate enough to work in college athletics for quite some time before heading into faculty. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with students in this capacity. I oversee our practicum and internships. I'm also the faculty supervisor for the Sport Management Student Association, where we try to get the connections and opportunities for our students throughout the sport industry.
Great. And then I think, I don't think you mentioned it, Courtney, but I think you did your undergrad here too, right?
Yes, that's correct. So I am actually born and raised in Tallahassee and the fourth generation Seminole in my family.
Awesome. So my first question is for Courtney and Tevis. I always like to ask when I have students on the show, you guys will have to think back a couple years to your undergrad days. But thinking back to when you were that senior in high school, I guess, why did you decide to attend Florida State? Was there something in particular about the school that attracted you?
Well, I guess, for me, like I said, being a fourth generation student at Florida State, I got to see my grandparents, my parents, so many of my family members grow up at Florida State, and they had such great memories. And for me, I just knew that I wanted to go to a place where I knew 25 years down the line, I would be still incredibly proud to call myself an alumni. I would want to be connected to the university, be involved in any way I can. And there was just every aspect that I wanted to be involved in. I knew that I'd be able to find a family at Florida State through clubs, sports, and then come out on the other side with a great education.
Mine was kind of similar to that as well. I grew up in Sarasota, just about 5 hours south of here. And it's kind of far enough removed from UF and FSU that it's not really specific to one school where there's a lot of fans. It's very split. So growing up, I had a lot of friends on both sides of it. And then when I was touring colleges, deciding where to go, I went to both and a couple others. But once I came to Florida State and toured it, and I just realized, I could see myself here. I was really interested in everything. I felt at home. And I knew a lot of people that were coming. So it was just a really great way to, be at a place that I knew I would enjoy, but also be with people that I knew and still could be friends with from high school and previously.
Great. I guess I can ask the same question to Dr. Pappas, if you can remember about, since you also did your undergrad work, was there something that drew you to Florida State initially?
Well, for me, growing up in the state, in Titusville, of all places, which by the way was Gator country, and for me, the first time I visited Tallahassee and Florida State University, I was an eighth grader, and I loved it. I loved the people, I loved the environment, and for me, when I had the opportunity to come here as a freshman back in 1993, I was sold on it. And for simple reasons is that I felt like this was a family away from home, and I felt like the faculty, the students, the whole environment just felt right. And I was talking to a parent today about that same experience, about her son feeling the same way. And for me, I was able to work with the football program at the time, right? So I came in here as a freshman 2 weeks before classes started, getting ready for our first national championship football season, which I had no idea at the time. And here I get to work with Charlie Ward and Danny Cannell and Tamarick Vanover and Sean Jackson and Corey Sawyer and all these wonderful Ward Dunn was a freshman when I was there. Burt Reynolds. So for me, it opened up my doors and eyes.
Okay, so my next question is another question for our students. What is something about FSU that surprised you after you got here? Something you didn't really expect, and then you got on campus and you were a little, I guess, surprised or delighted by something you found?
So I guess, when you're in high school and you see, the enrollment numbers at the school that you're thinking about going to, you see that big number, like 40,000, and you think, oh, it's just going to be a huge campus, people everywhere. It might be kind of hard to find like a smaller group of people. And I think I was just surprised by kind of the sense of family that you could feel as soon as you got on campus, that even though maybe there's a lot of students around you or a lot of different areas you can be in, it's not that hard to find that smaller group to align with and to spend time around. And just to kind of, I guess not as daunting as it might seem before you get here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think piggybacking off what Tevis said, that you do realize Florida State is a giant campus. And in a lot of ways, that makes a lot of things really exciting and gives you a lot of different opportunities, because we are, so many people and there's so many different types of people here. But I think that what I really wasn't expecting was the community and the help that you receive from your professors and your mentors. Just like Dr. Pappas, I've been a student of his for 3 years now. And one of my other mentors, Dr. Katie Flanagan, within the department, it really shows that if you take the time to get to know your teachers and your professors and those people who really, truly, they're there to help you and they want to see you succeed, they turn into friends of yours, and they're going to be around for a lifetime and always going to want to catch up and see where you are, whether you're continuing your education, when you're in your career. I know that, 20 years from now, I'll reach out to Dr. Pappas and see what's going on for him at Florida State and wherever I may be.
Great. So I think my next question is for Dr. Pappas. I want to get into kind of our topic of discussion this week, the sports management program at Florida State. And just to start us off, can you just give us a brief overview of the undergraduate program?
Sure. The undergraduate program is a limited access program. In essence, you have to apply to the upper division. And as a result, once you have 60 credit hours or a minimum of a 2.75, you're eligible to be admitted by the deadline each year, which is March 1st. One of the great things about sport management, it gives you the flexibility once you get into our majors to pick multiple electives that you may be interested within sport. We have a group of core courses that you would have to take and meet with your academic advisor. A coach for us for almost 36 years as a track and field coach is the academic advisor, Coach Dennis Nobles, who's an icon in so many ways, will be your advisor as an undergrad student. And the great thing is we just added a program called the BSMS program, where our bachelor students can actually take up to 12 master courses while they're finishing up their undergrad as they get into the master's program, which I think is a great opportunity for students to not only gain additional experience, but also education to kind of figure out what path they truly really want to work within the sport industry.
Great. So what do the core classes cover, and kind of what are the other other elective or tracks that the students can focus in?
Sport law, which is a great class, Dr. Ryan Roberg, sport marketing with Dr. Dew and Dr. James. Dr. Flanagan has mentioned dealing with governance, ethics within sport is areas that she has. We also have Dr. Han, who does strategic management and also looking at governance and NCAA compliance is another course that we kind of focus on within that realm. We also have Dr. Cecile Renaud, who was an icon for us for many, many years, volleyball coach teaches athletic recruitment. And then so we have facilities events management. We have multiple other courses that deal with sport and the media. Dr. John Pina and Dr. Newman oversee. And then myself, I do intro to sport management. I do issues and challenges within sport management. I also see our undergrad practicum program where you actually will get a full-time or part-time internship within the sport industry that you'll actually take a class for. So based on those selections, then you'll be able to kind of figure out what you want to do within sport, and you would take your practicum and internship within that in order to gain that actual knowledge and experience to allow you to be that much marketable within the job market.
So I guess for Courtney and Tevis, since you guys have finished the undergraduate program, both of you now, what were your focuses in?
Like Dr. Pappas was saying, when I actually started at Florida State, I was solely a media communications major. And by the time I got through that program, I realized, I wanted something more. I thought that I really kind of wanted to focus on the side of things of television, broadcasting, writing. And as I went through that program and then did a few internships in undergrad, I realized I really craved the behind the scenes, what it takes to make an event go, the NCAA policies and procedures, truly what the world of sport was. So when I got into sport management, I focused on the operations side of things, also did a few things in marketing. And now that I'm in my master's, I've continued to focus on operations.
When I came in, I kind of wasn't 100% sure where I wanted to go with it. I knew that I really loved sports and it's where I wanted to work and just being on that behind the scenes side of it. But then I guess I kind of took it as more of a chance to take what I was learning in the classroom and get to see, okay, maybe we're learning about the governance structures in different organizations or leagues. Be like, okay, that looks interesting to me. But then how does that apply to an internship or something along those lines? So I tried to get a lot of outside of the classroom experience as well as what we were learning about inside the classroom, just to guys trying to get a broader view of it, to get some hands-on experience and just to kind of be on the inside part of the sporting events from an operations standpoint in that kind of area, like Courtney was saying.
I guess so bringing up that the combined master's program, did either of you participate in that program, or was it a little too new for you guys?
It was a little too new. And, part of me was like, oh, dang, I hate that I missed that opportunity. And then the other part of me was thankful that I guess it worked out the way that it did, because it allotted me to, spend another 2 years here and continue to grow my experiences and connections and, learn as much as possible in the classroom.
Well, you can always get a job here too when you get your master's, and you can just stay forever.
Yes, and I would not be mad about that at all.
It was a pretty similar situation for me as well. I was about a year too late to do the dual program, but like Courtney was saying, it allows me to spend some more time here, get some more experience, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Almost better.
Well, even though you didn't do that program, I know there is a transition, obviously. Well, there's one going from high school to college, but then there's another one if you're going to go from a bachelor's degree to a master's degree. And I'm sure we've got a lot of listeners out there who are interested in one day pursuing a master's degree. And I'm sure they want to hear about what the difference is like. How do you guys feel that grad school is different from your undergrad work? I know, Tevis, you just started, so you might not have as much experience yet, but I'm sure you've noticed at least some kind of change already.
Yeah, I noticed a little bit of a difference, but it wasn't huge for me personally. Just being involved with the department over the past year, I've kind of gotten to know a lot of the other students and all the other professors. So I guess moving in that transition, I knew a lot of people in my classes this summer when I started. I'm familiar with the teachers that I have. So it really wasn't too big of a transition for me, just being involved in the department with it being as close-knit as it is.
I would agree with what Tevis was saying. I think that the main differences is truly going to be more of the structure. Instead of having 35 classes to choose from when you go to register from classes, that's a little bit more condensed. And then also just structure of classes, as far as instead of taking a class from 12:30 to 1:45, most of your classes are going to be at night, starting at 6:45. So structurally, that's probably the biggest difference. But I would agree. Coming from the undergraduate program, I just think Florida State in general, and then Florida State Sport Management in particular, did such a good job of preparing me and giving me such a diverse experiences in and out of the classroom that I knew whatever came my way in my master's program, I'd be prepared to tackle. And then if I did have questions, I knew that any of our faculty and staff would be right there to assist with whatever I needed.
Right. And so for this one's for Dr. Pappas, for students who are coming in now and are just our incoming freshmen or maybe applying to school this year, obviously they'll have that opportunity for the combined BS MS program. What is that program going to offer them? What's the major advantages of it, and how can they get, is signed up for it?
Yeah, so simply is that they have to be obviously an undergrad sport management major and 3.0 GPA, and they'll eventually need to take the GRE. But obviously, this past fall we didn't because it was waived. But certainly, as far as the advantages are, number one, you obviously don't have to pay 12 credit hours of graduate education. But the other thing is, and I tell our students all the time, what makes the master's program one that I would highly recommend if you truly want to work in sport is our master's program is designed to making sure that our students get a full-time job with the industry. And that is simply this, and that, you get the ability to figure out what you want to do in sport. I teach a class called Professional Development in Sport that I started about 7-8 years ago. And the premise behind the class is that every one of our master's students will get a full-time job or internship at the end of the semester. So that leads them right into the job market in terms of taking that experience. And our students have really thrived on that process in the sense that not only are they getting additional experience, they're getting their master's degree while making sure that they're getting their networks and professional contacts at a higher level to allow them to be able to search the market. So it's got a lot of different advantages, and I certainly would recommend anybody that wants to work in the industry, there's no better pathway than the BSMS program here at Florida State University.
Okay, so I'm wondering also for Courtney and Tevis, since you guys have completely finished the undergrad program also, what do you think the most interesting course you took was over that time?
Ooh, that's a hard question because I really did enjoy so many different classes, but I would have to say diversity in sport was my favorite, especially as a female, coming into the sports world, and that does, impact certain areas and, things may look a little different, but it was so much more than just looking at, male versus female. It included, disabilities, how so many different things impact the world of sport and how we can be inclusive in that environment. So I really think that was the most eye-opening and interesting class for me.
I thought I liked diversity in sport as well a lot. I think two of my favorites were sport governance. Part of that was Dr. Daniel, one of the professors in the program, was teaching that for my class. And she was just so passionate and excited about it every day, which was really cool. Just because it, on paper, that might not look like the most exciting course, but she did a really great job of stimulating our interest in it and making it really exciting. And I think also sport ethics was a good one, just because it's so important in any job. It's really applicable anywhere. And it was just really interesting to learn about that through sport directly. I'm
interested to know, since I'm from the outside, I don't know all the terminology. What exactly do you learn in sport governance?
So it's more focused on the, the bodies that oversee sport organizations or leagues. So we learn a lot about the NCAA or, the NBA, NFL, those kind of things where they're the guys at the top that are setting the regulations and all the rules for everybody that's participating and involved on a day-to-day basis, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I bet that's definitely a really, really complicated topic that you could really dive into. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, I'm also wondering, this is probably a good question for Dr. Pappas, since I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what kind of overlap does the sport management program have with Florida State's Seminole Athletics? How deeply can you get involved?
Oh, it's phenomenal. And I think, one of the things I tried to do when I got onto faculty and work in athletics was really to combine those two. Cindy Hartman was the one that really came to me and really had a vision of really partnering with sport management in the athletic department, which was phenomenal, because what it really made sense was that we're a filter to helping them have students that work in their sport marketing department, having students work in the ticketing office. Jonathan DeMont, a former student of mine who is assistant ticket operations manager, is there. Equipment managing would be another one. Andrew DeGood, one of my former students, is overseeing the baseball equipment. We also have GA coaches with Coach Ham and now Coach Morvell. We also have sports information. Elliot Feinblum, who's graduated our program. Jason Dennard in sport marketing that we work very closely with, like I mentioned before, compliance, and with Dr. Osborne and her staff. We also have academic support with Dr. King. So it's been a real partnership, and for our students to really benefit from that partnership, because either getting their undergrad or their master's degree while getting that full-time experience, it's a wonderful combination, and it allows them to be, when they graduate, the ability to be that much more marketable. So they know how to run Paciola and the ticket office. They know how to do a strategic marketing plan and utilizing Photoshop and InDesign. They're able to understand all the analytic pieces that and recruiting, that they understand Huddle, they understand Sport Code, all these different devices that we use for analytics to oversee evaluation and player training. So it's been a great partnership. And of course, there's no better way when you have one of the top athletic departments and one of the top sport management programs working together to be able for the common good of education of students.
Yeah. So I also know you're in charge of the internship or practicum program. What kind of opportunities can students get through that, even beyond Seminole athletics?
Well, and that's what's been a blessing. We're in the state of Florida, 23 million people living here. For us to take advantage, so one of the first things I did, I wanted to capitalize internship opportunities here locally in Tallahassee. So we have the Florida Sports Foundation, we have FAMU Athletic Department, we have the TCC Athletic Department, we have the Tallahassee Sports Council, we have Parks and Rec. So I utilized all the internships here locally. Then I branched out to the states. So I traveled to Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, Tampa. So we have the Bucks, the Dolphins, the Magic. We have partnerships with the Lightning, and then of course with the Jaguars. And so I did that. Then I went to New Orleans and Atlanta, capitalized in the Southeast, and really grew our product. Then went to New York and went to all the NFL headquarters. MLB, we have students working. We just had a student working for the NFL headquarters up in New York City. NHL, I'm meeting with the head executive director tomorrow for the NHL. And so for me, it was trying to get us exposure to the market. And then we do it internationally. So we teach over in London, our campus at FSU, the Global Sport Management Program. And I started it 2 years ago at Valencia. So we do half and half, and it gives our students an exposure of what international sport's all about. So they get to meet with Liga, the English Premier League. They get to go to Wimbledon. They get to go to the British Open every summer. And it's been a great partnership over there to get our students exposed internationally as well for sport. So there's so many different options that students want to know that don't even know that are existing. And we try to teach them what's out there so they can take full advantage of getting those full-time work experiences.
That's awesome. I feel like I wish I was a sport management major back in the day now. So Courtney and Tevis, what kind of experiences were you guys able to have through this program?
For my first internship, I was able to work with the athletic ticketing office. It was a lot of, scanning tickets at baseball games, just kind of being around active sporting events, which was a really great first experience. And then this past year, I was with the sports information office, kind of working as like the media relations side of it, between, the athletic department and the media members coming to games, that sort of area. And then this upcoming year, I'm going to be with the football recruiting department. So I've kind of moved around a little bit, but it's been a lot of really great hands-on experience that has kind of helped me focus in on what I want to do long-term.
Yeah, and you're in for a busy year with football recruiting. I bet that is nonstop business.
Evis, what about the global sport management? You joined me, a year and a half ago, right?
That was last year. Yeah, we did the global sport management program. We did a week in Valencia, a week in Barcelona, and then 4 weeks at the FSU London campus. So we got to see a lot of different venues, meet with some different teams out there that we really would not have access to here in Tallahassee. And it was just really great to see how different the sport culture is there and how stuff runs differently. And just to really see that firsthand rather than seeing, a video in a classroom or reading about it online, that sort of thing.
I was similar. Thankfully, I had the opportunity to participate in quite a few different things. My first internship was with Seminole Sports Marketing under Ty Osborne. He has since moved on and is in South Carolina, leading his own marketing department, but had the opportunity to be there and just learn a lot about Photoshop, a lot about product activation with events. Whether we had in Tallahassee, we have the Friday night block party that happens during football season. So that brings in a concert and it's kind of like the kickoff to our football weekend, and to really see how much goes into that and how many different steps you have to take to prepare an event of that size was really interesting. From there, I got the chance to move on to the Tallahassee Sports Council, as Dr. Pappas mentioned, and I got that opportunity through one of my sport management classes. One of their directors came in, spoke to our class, and from there I made that connection and got to spend an entire summer with them. That was more local sport opportunity. I had the chance to plan a softball tournament for 12 and under girls. That was, again, just an incredible experience. You don't realize how much goes into it and the impact that has on a community like Tallahassee. It brings a lot of money, a lot of people into the city, and really helps the Tallahassee economy thrive in the summer. And then when I started in my master's program, I was lucky enough in January to join the baseball team. I am working with alumni relations and fundraising under Coach Mike Martin Jr. And that's just been an experience more than I can ask for. My goal once I graduate is to work in collegiate athletics, specifically baseball. So that's given me a great opportunity there.
Awesome. So I want to shift more into, I guess, the student organization side of things, since I know that Tevis is the president of the Sports Management Student Association. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that association is and how students can get involved?
Yeah, so it's a student organization geared towards helping students network and within professionals in the sport community, but also just with people in the program. And it's just a great way to get to learn more about the industry, learn more about, the people that you're in classes with, and all that sort of stuff. The meetings are once a week where we have a professional come in and talk about what they do for their job and how they got there, and then just answer any questions anybody has, which is a really great way. It was for me personally when I started just as a member, it was a really great way to learn about things I may not know about before, and just to kind of get a better idea of what the industry is as a whole. And then we also do networking trips once a semester. Obviously, won't be able to do that this semester, unfortunately. But this, like last fall, we went to Indianapolis. We took 42 students, I believe, and Dr. Pappas. And we were able to meet with the NCAA, the Colts, the Pacers, the Indianapolis Indians. They're a AAA team, I believe, minor league baseball. And then we also got to look at the Indy 500 racetrack. So it was a really great way to learn a lot about 5 different areas of, the sport management profession, I guess. And also just, to give that many students that opportunity was really great, because it really is something you can't get in the classroom. As great as our classes are and our program is, being able to get that hands-on experience is something that's really cool.
That's really great. And if students are interested, how much is there a big commitment, or is it kind of a drop in, drop out thing? And how do they get involved?
So to be an active member, there are dues, which typically go towards helping to pay for the trips or t-shirts, or we do pizza nights occasionally. But you're also able to just come to meetings and sit there and enjoy, the speaker. The dues paying members are eligible for the trips. The ones that don't pay aren't, which is, you can still get a lot out of it without being a paying member. But to join, you can basically just come to a meeting. We're active on our social media accounts. We also have a Canvas page that we can add people to manually as they express interest. But the social media accounts are at FSU SMSA on Instagram and Twitter. And then our Facebook is just Sport Management Student Association, I believe.
Okay, I want to move into our, I guess I call it the lightning round, even though it doesn't really move any faster than the rest of the show. But these are just kind of some fun questions I ask everybody. I do have an extra question this week because we are recording on July 23rd. And the first question I have to know is, how excited is everybody that baseball starts today?
Beyond excited. I really cannot say how happy I am. I loved the KBO, really enjoyed waking up, at 3:00 in the morning to catch some baseball, but it'll be good for it to be back in the States.
I'm very excited as well. It's been a very dull couple of months. So any live sports on TV, I'm in.
How could you not love America's pastime? This is opening day, opening night. You've got some great matchups. It's going to be ironic, though. No fans. Yeah. You're going to hear the crack of the ball. So I'm kind of curious to see how the visual effects will take place with no fans. They're going to add their own sound noise or not. But it'll be interesting with only 60 games or a typical 181 game season, which may be a good thing. For me personally, baseball, as I've gotten older, has gotten longer. So for me, I got to understand, as far as the competition concerned. And plus, I hope this gives a little bit of variety of different teams. You see the Yankees all the time. because I want to see somebody new. I want to see someone fresh, kind of like having a even keel. So hopefully that will be the case. But I'm extremely excited, as both Courtney and Tevis mentioned, about having some live sport here. No offense to the Korean League. I don't know any of the players. I can't even pronounce their names. So for me, it's a very difficult challenge to really understand exactly some of those pastimes that I grew up with WTBS and the Braves, Dale Murphy and Bob Warner. So I'm extremely excited to see baseball getting started this evening.
Awesome. All right. So the rest of my questions are not really sports specific. First, let's start with, we'll just start with Courtney on this one. What's your favorite thing about Florida State?
Oh, goodness. It has to be the marching Chiefs. I mean, there's nothing like whatever sporting event you're at. To be able to hear the war chant and hear our fight song. And I will have to add, because I'm such a baseball fan, I love the animals of Section B. It's their own special cheering section. It makes Steakhauser famous. And when you've arrived at Florida State baseball, because the animals of Section B.
Yeah, and you will inadvertently learn the words to the Canadian national anthem. Exactly.
Just a little extra thing in your back pocket.
What about you, Tevis? What's your favorite thing about Florida State?
Mine's pretty similar. The being in the athletic events and being there in person is really special. Being in Doak when it's full of fans and they're all doing the war chant, or being in the Tucker Center when everyone's just super excited for a basketball game. There's nothing like it. It's so much fun. Even if there's a fan, if you're there working it, whatever it is, I love that part of it. Well,
that's easy. I bleed garnet and gold. To be able to be at an institution that has given me so much and to be able to give back, it's a dream come true. I was at Southern Cal, I was at South Carolina, I was in the SEC, Pac-12, but to be back home where it all started for me is unlike any other. You think of Florida State, you think of the trees, you think of FLORIDASTATE, Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Woo! Da-da-da. That gets me chill. And to be able to give that back in the classroom is like any other. One of my closest friends when I was a comm major was my academic advisor. And to this day, we talk, and he's changed my life. A guy named Martin Ziegler. And I'm sure most people know of Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Mark was my academic advisor and mentor for me when I was a freshman. And I would bug him 24/7. I was like an energizer running in his office 24/7. And now 25 years later, I'm here back on campus with my good friend and colleague to be able to give back to other future FSU students. There's nothing like it. And true me only, I would not desire to be at any other place but Florida State University, because it's unlike any other institution experience I had a chance to be a part of.
Oh, yeah. And man, it's amazing to see that Ziegler has been turning people into super fans basically since forever.
That's one year he did.
Yeah. Okay. My next lightning round question. We'll start with Dr. Pappas this time. We'll go opposite direction. When you need to grab lunch somewhere off campus, what's your favorite local restaurant?
Well, it was a tradition. Gordo's. It was Gordo's, West Pensacola Street. That was my home. That's where I grew up. So there's no doubt having that Cuban, the turkey, with the Supreme and the press. Gordo's was my place.
What about you, Tevis?
So I was going to say Gordo's, but I'll take a different one.
Okay, we'll go to Courtney for now and we'll come back to you.
Man, Gordo's is definitely like top 5 always, but I'm going to say Jerry's Midtown Cafe. Great little brunch spot. She has a garden. It's highly recommend. Definitely always stop at Jerry's.
So did you come up with one, Tevis?
Yeah. So I'd say mine's probably a Mexican place that's kind of near my apartment called Pancho's. I haven't been there I haven't heard about it from a lot of other people. I don't think it's one of the most popular necessarily, but it's fairly cheap, really good food, easy, gets the job done.
Great. And then my last lightning round question is just like, what have you been doing to keep yourself occupied during the quarantine? Have you been teaching yourself any new skills, or just like binging movie series, or what's everyone been up to?
Yeah, definitely. Going through the Netflix, the Hulu, seeing what you can find to rewatch. But I've been lucky enough to still be working and, reaching out and communicating with some of our alumni. Unfortunately, we're having to cancel events, so that, is taking place. But lucky again, to still be working and talking with Dr. Pappas and doing social media for the department. So trying to stay up to date and still push out content.
Like Courtney said, a lot of Netflix and Hulu and all of that, really working my way through a lot of movies and series. Also just trying to stay active, not sit around all day. and also playing a lot of, NBA 2K or Madden, that sort of thing, to pretend like there's actually sports on, just kind of trick myself into thinking it's like normal.
Well, for me, I'm a ball of energy. You probably don't realize that, but I get a little stir crazy being inside all day. So what I've picked up is 3 big passions now. Bike riding. They got phenomenal trails here in Tallahassee. I live right off of Alfred Greenway. I take the bike. I got my mountain bike and I just go. The other thing I enjoy, we have great lakes. I fish now a little bit. Who would have thought, right? And then the final thing that I've kind of learned to really enjoy is called golf. And, for me, I'm horrible at it. I've never broke 100. But the fact of the matter is we've got some of the greatest golf courses around here. The Seminole Legacy I just played Tuesday, absolutely phenomenal. I would highly recommend anybody that comes into town to check out Seminole Legacy. What a great course. What a lot of fun that is. So those are the 3 things that I've learned to pick up and just really be active. Also being safe. Just be true to it. Wear your mask. As much as I don't want to do it, I love going out in the public. So wear that mask. Make sure you wash those hands and make sure you're social distancing, because it's really what's going to not allow this epidemic to spread and help us get back to normal sooner than later.
Yeah, golf, perfect sport for social distancing, really. And, you said the course is really great. I think Jack Nicklaus just redesigned it, which is the coolest thing, that the Golden Bear did our golf course for us. It's so cool. And I'll throw in one entertainment option. I don't really usually answer this question, but since we're talking about sports management, one of the things I watched recently was I watched with my wife the entire Ken Burns baseball documentary series, and that was just fascinating. I learned I'm not the biggest baseball fan. I'm more of a football guy, but I just was fascinated by it. There's nothing else to watch, no sports on TV, so we watched that, and I learned so much about America's pastime. Really great documentary series on PBS. And then we'll move in my last question for everyone, and I'll start with Dr. Pappas on this one, and then we'll go to Tevis and Courtney. If you guys could only give our incoming students one piece of advice, what would it be?
Take advantage of the opportunities here at Florida State. What we do as an institution, maybe I'm biased, maybe I drink the Kool-Aid, but I've truly lived it and I've been a part of it for so long, is that we provide our students here so many different options and so many different opportunities. Take advantage of it. Get to know your professors. Sit up front. Don't miss class, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person. Engage. Be participatory. Get to know these phenomenal people that are here to give and teach you and really provide you the resources to be successful in the real world. Take advantage of every opportunity here at Florida State, because I promise you, with all my heart and all sincerity, you will not regret it.
I definitely agree with that. Very well said. I would also say I know it's easier said than done, but don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Like, I know coming to college, it's kind of scary. Maybe you're going to meet a lot of new people. You're in a different situation, but it gets a lot easier once you just kind of get out there and start doing what you're going to be doing. And just getting past that discomfort of being in a whole new unfamiliar situation.
Yeah, I really couldn't have said it better myself. I agree. And just the biggest thing is to make sure there's the only dumb question you can ask is the one that you don't ask. And at the end of the day, the only person who limits yourself is yourself. So if you don't send that email, you don't go talk to that professor, you don't, try and see if there's an internship or some type of connection you can make. Really, at the end of the day, it's only going to limit yourself, and you never know by starting that conversation or asking that question what avenue that'll lead you down.
Great. Well, Dr. Jason Pappas, Courtney, Caswell, Tevis, Jordon, thank you guys so much for being on the show today, and go Noles.
Go Noles. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again to Dr. Pappas, Courtney, and Tevis for their time. If you'd like to learn more about the College of Education Sports Management Program, check out education.fsu.edu and follow @FSU Sport on Twitter. You can also follow the Sport Management Student Association online. They're @FSU SMSA on Twitter and Instagram, and search @SMSA Students on Facebook. If you've been enjoying the show, we'd really appreciate you leaving us a rating, review, or recommendation on iTunes or in your podcast app of choice. Word of mouth is also a huge help to us as well, so please share the show with any of your friends or family members who you think might enjoy it. If you have any questions or feedback on the show, please send them to us on social media. We're @FSU Admissions on Twitter and Facebook, and @FSU.admissions on Instagram. You can also email questions or feedback on the show to admissions@fsu.edu. Just be sure to include the word podcast in the subject line. As always, our theme music is the world-renowned Florida State University Marching Chiefs. Recordings courtesy of Mark Records, Clarence, New York, markcustom.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Thanks again for listening, and go Noles.